Every single night across the United States, millions of seniors face the same frustrating pattern. They lie down, hoping for a full night of rest, only to be jolted awake hours later by the sudden and urgent need to urinate. For many, this happens 2, 3, sometimes even 5 times before morning. But here's the shocking part. Recent studies have revealed that this widespread issue is not just a natural part of aging. In fact, over 100 million older Americans are unknowingly making it worse with something as simple and seemingly harmless as the spices they use in their daily meals. Yes, the very seasonings that make food taste good could be the silent reason why you're losing sleep every single night. If you're over 60 and find yourself waking up frequently to use the bathroom, the culprit might not be your bladder, your prostate, or your age. It might be sitting right there in your spice rack. Researchers from major institutions like the Mayo Clinic and the Cleveland Clinic have recently identified specific compounds in common American seasonings that trigger excessive urination, especially during the night. The studies are clear. 82% of elderly participants used at least one spice that tripled their chances of nocturnal urination. These results were consistent across cities like Philadelphia, Dallas, San Diego, and even retirement communities in states like Florida and Arizona. The implication is clear. This isn't just coincidence. It's chemistry. Many seniors try to manage the problem on their own. Some begin restricting their fluid intake after dinner. Others skip evening medications or avoid late-night family dinners altogether, afraid they'll be up all night. But these workarounds don't address the root issue, and often they create new problems like dehydration, confusion, or even social isolation. What's worse is that few people ever suspect their food could be to blame. After all, how could a bit of salt or a dash of garlic really interfere with your ability to sleep? But what most people don't realize is that the body responds to flavoring agents in complex, physiological ways. Some of the most beloved American seasonings, including salt, pepper, garlic, and prepackaged spice blends, contain compounds that either irritate the bladder directly or stimulate the kidneys to work overtime. When you eat these ingredients, especially with dinner or in the late afternoon, you're essentially giving your body a command to stay active, to filter fluids, and to stay alert at the exact time it should be winding down for deep sleep. The consequences are more serious than simply losing a few hours of rest. Sleep specialists across the country, including doctors at Johns Hopkins and Stanford, have confirmed that fragmented sleep in older adults is directly linked to an increased risk of nighttime falls, heart arrhythmias, weakened immune function, cognitive decline, and even depression. Sleep is not just rest, it's a biological requirement. When it's interrupted repeatedly by nighttime urination, also known as nocturia, your body never reaches the stages of sleep where cellular repair, memory consolidation, and hormonal balance occur. This leaves you groggy, irritable, and less capable of enjoying the simple pleasures of life, whether it's a walk with your grandchildren or a morning coffee on the porch. The good news is that you're not powerless. In fact, you're about to discover how 4 specific spices, once removed or replaced, can radically improve the quality of your sleep. And it doesn't require medication, surgery, or extreme diets. Just minor, smart adjustments to your evening meals. Imagine sleeping through the night, waking up refreshed and energized, no longer needing to drag yourself to the bathroom in the dark, no more struggling to fall back asleep at AM. Thousands of seniors from coast to coast, from Brooklyn to Boise, have already made these changes and are now living with restored vitality, clearer minds, and renewed independence. And it all started with changing how they season their food. In this video, we're going to explore those 4 culprits in detail. I'll show you how they affect your body, how to identify them in your kitchen, and what to use instead. You'll also hear stories from real people, Americans just like you, who made the change and reclaimed their nights. But before we continue, I want to invite you to take one small step toward transformation. Subscribe now so you won't miss any future discoveries. Each week, we share practical, scientifically backed information that can change your life. And if you care about waking up rested, about protecting your long-term health, take a moment to like this video. Your engagement helps spread this information to others who need it just as much as you do. Now, let's begin this journey together. Let's begin with the first hidden saboteur of your sleep: ordinary table salt. At first glance, this might seem obvious. Many people know that salt isn't exactly a health food. But what most seniors don't realize is that it's not just the amount of salt you consume that matters, it's the type of salt, and more importantly, the time of day you use it. The typical American diet is saturated with sodium. From pre-seasoned meats to canned vegetables and even morning cereals, salt hides in places you'd never expect. But refined white table salt, the kind most of us grew up with, has a very specific effect on your body's fluid retention cycle. It causes your cells to hold onto water throughout the day. Then, when you lie down at night, your body shifts into a drainage mode. That built-up fluid is sent to the kidneys, which suddenly begin flushing it out all at once, usually between 1 and 4 a.m. The medical name for this process is nocturnal natriuresis, and it's one of the top contributors to nighttime bathroom trips in older adults. When you consume refined salt with dinner or even in the late afternoon, you're unintentionally scheduling your bladder to go into overdrive just as you're trying to fall asleep. And because this pattern repeats night after night, your body never reaches the kind of uninterrupted sleep needed for brain detoxification and cellular recovery. You might think your body is aging faster than it is, but in truth, it's simply not getting the chance to recharge. Now let me introduce you to someone whose story may sound familiar. Mark Jennings is a 69-year-old retired firefighter from Miami, Florida. For years, Mark struggled with poor sleep. He'd fall asleep quickly, but within 2 hours, he was awake, heading to the bathroom. This repeated several times every night, and it wore him down. Mark tried reducing his fluid intake after dinner. He even tried sleep aids prescribed by his doctor, but nothing seemed to help. Then, during a nutrition class at his local senior center, he learned about the connection between sodium timing and nocturia. He made one small change. He stopped using regular table salt in his dinners and switched to sea salt, but only in the morning. He began seasoning his breakfast eggs with just a pinch of pink Himalayan salt and avoided all added sodium after 4 p.m. The results shocked him. Within 3 weeks, his nightly trips to the bathroom dropped from 6 to just 1. For the first time in years, he was sleeping through the night. He told me in a message, "I never imagined salt could affect my bladder that much. And what's crazy is, my food still tastes great." Mark didn't stop there. He started using herbs like thyme, oregano, rosemary, and basil to enhance flavor naturally. He also discovered that citrus zest lemon or orange peel added a brightness to his meals that he never expected. These small culinary shifts turned into life-altering changes. His blood pressure improved, his energy returned, and perhaps most importantly, he no longer feared bedtime. Salt is essential to human life, but the refined, highly processed salt used in most commercial kitchens and homes across the country is far from natural. By simply swapping it for a more mineral-rich option and limiting its use to earlier meals, you create a ripple effect that benefits every system in your body, from circulation to digestion to hormone regulation. Doctors at the University of California have confirmed that sodium consumption timing plays a critical role in sleep quality among older adults. Their studies showed that patients who adjusted their salt intake earlier in the day reported significantly fewer nocturnal awakenings and a higher level of morning alertness. If you're ready to test this for yourself, start by reading labels at the grocery store. Look for sodium-free or low-sodium versions of your favorite products. Try experimenting with new herbs and spices. Avoid salting your dinner entirely and instead focus on savory breakfasts and lunches. Your kidneys will thank you, and your nights may become peaceful again without a single pill, appointment, or side effect. This is only the beginning. Next, we'll uncover another common flavor enhancer that could be quietly irritating your bladder and forcing you out of bed: peppers. Whether it's jalapenos on tacos or black pepper in your soup, the problem lies in how your body reacts, not how it tastes. Ready to go deeper? If you enjoy a little heat in your food, this might surprise you. Peppers, particularly spicy varieties like jalapenos, cayenne, chili powder, and crushed red pepper, are some of the most commonly used seasonings in American kitchens. They bring boldness to a dish and, for many people, have become a staple of everyday cooking. But here's the hard truth: these fiery ingredients may be silently waking you up at night. It's not just about taste, it's about chemistry. Spicy peppers, contain compounds called capsaicinoids, and while they're responsible for that pleasant burning sensation in your mouth, they also have a powerful physiological effect, especially on your bladder. Capsaicinoids are known to stimulate the nervous system. They increase circulation, raise heart rate temporarily, and encourage the kidneys to filter more fluid than usual. At the same time, they irritate the lining of the bladder, making it hypersensitive. That means your bladder starts to feel full even when it's only holding small amounts of urine. And if you consume these spices at dinner or later, the effect can linger for hours. Your body reacts to this stimulation as if it's daytime, keeping you alert, restless, and interrupting your ability to fall into deep sleep. In fact, clinical studies from the Sleep Disorders Center in Houston found that adults over 60 who ate spicy foods after PM were twice as likely to wake up multiple times per night due to bladder activity compared to those who avoided spice altogether. Let me share the story of Linda Monroe, a 72-year-old retired elementary school teacher from Atlanta, Georgia. Linda loved her food spicy. She used crushed red pepper in her pasta, jalapenos in her omelets, and chili powder in her chili, of course. She believed that spicy food helped with circulation and metabolism, something she had heard from a wellness seminar years ago. But she never connected her sleepless nights with her dinner plate. For years, Linda would fall asleep around PM, only to wake up like clockwork at 11:30, 2 o'clock, and again around 4:30 in the morning, each time rushing to the bathroom. She thought it was just part of aging. Her doctor mentioned bladder sensitivity, but never once asked about her spice habits. It wasn't until her daughter sent her an article on nighttime bladder triggers that Linda started to question her routine. She began a small experiment. For 1 week, she stopped using any spicy seasonings after lunch. She replaced her usual chili flakes with turmeric and cumin. She added fresh ginger to soups instead of jalapenos, and she leaned on milder herbs like parsley, cilantro, and basil to keep her meals flavorful. Within just 7 days, something extraordinary happened. She only woke up once during the night. By the end of the 2nd week, she was sleeping 6 hours straight, something she hadn't experienced in over a decade. Linda's experience is far from unique. Across the country, older adults are beginning to realize that their spice rack holds more power over their health than they ever imagined. The reason this works is because spicy compounds don't just leave your system quickly. Their stimulating effect on the bladder can last 6 to 8 hours. So if you're eating spicy food at 6 o'clock PM, your bladder could still be reacting at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's not just inconvenient, it's exhausting. And for seniors who may already have weakened pelvic muscles, reduced kidney function, or prostate enlargement, it creates the perfect storm for sleep disruption. The solution isn't to eliminate flavor, it's to change the source of flavor. Spices like turmeric and cumin have anti-inflammatory benefits without stimulating the bladder. Ginger, when used sparingly, supports digestion and provides warmth without irritation. And herbs like chives, sage, tarragon, and dill offer layers of complexity to any dish. Linda told me recently, "I never thought I could live without spicy food. But now I see that peace of mind and real sleep are more satisfying than heat." Her words capture what so many have discovered. You don't have to give up taste, you just have to time it better. So if you love heat, use it early. Enjoy that jalapeno in your scrambled eggs. Add black pepper to your morning avocado toast. But as the sun starts to set, shift toward calming, bladder-friendly flavors. Your body will notice the difference and your nights may transform. Now, let's talk about a seasoning that might truly surprise you. It's not spicy and it's not loaded with sodium. In fact, many people turn to it for its health benefits, especially for the heart. I'm talking about garlic. Yes, garlic. This flavorful ancient ingredient has been praised for centuries for its immune-boosting and cardiovascular properties. But when consumed in large amounts, especially during dinner, it can quietly disrupt your sleep by overstimulating your bladder and kidneys. Garlic contains natural sulfur compounds, including a potent one called allicin. While allicin has antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory effects, it also acts as a mild natural diuretic. This means it encourages your kidneys to filter and eliminate more fluid than usual. When garlic is consumed late in the day, your body has no choice but to follow this command even during your sleep. The result? You wake up in the middle of the night with an urgent need to go, even if you didn't drink any extra fluids. That's because the garlic is working on the inside, stimulating your system long after your plate is clean. This is exactly what happened to Carlos Peterson, a 74-year-old retired hardware store owner from Portland, Oregon. Carlos was known among his family for making the best roast chicken in the neighborhood, loaded with rosemary, lemon, and lots of fresh garlic. His dinners were legendary, and he took pride in the health-conscious ingredients he used. But for years, Carlos struggled with fragmented sleep. He was getting up around 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock a.m. every night and found it hard to return to sleep afterward. Like many others, he chalked it up to aging. But after his wife pointed out that he seemed to sleep better after lunch-heavy meals and lighter dinners, he started to connect the dots. Curious, Carlos decided to keep a food and sleep journal. He tracked how much garlic he ate each day and when. After just a week, a clear pattern emerged. On nights when he added 4 or 5 cloves of garlic to his dinner, he was up multiple times. On nights with less or no garlic, he slept longer and deeper. From there, he made a simple but powerful shift. He reduced his garlic consumption to just 1 clove per day, and he started using it only at lunchtime. For dinner, he switched to milder seasonings like suet onions, bay leaf, and thyme. In less than 2 weeks, his sleep changed dramatically. He now wakes up only once or sometimes not at all. Garlic isn't the enemy. The problem is when and how much you use it. Older adults often increase their garlic intake thinking it's doing their heart a favor. And while moderate use can be helpful, excessive amounts can put unnecessary strain on the kidneys, especially when the body is preparing to rest. The key is timing and quantity. Researchers from a holistic medicine study in Denver found that adults over 65 who consumed more than 3 cloves of garlic daily after PM had significantly higher nighttime urine output than those who kept garlic intake minimal or used it earlier in the day. The transformation doesn't require eliminating garlic entirely. Instead, consider cooking with it in the morning or early afternoon. If you love the flavor but want a gentler option for dinner, try using roasted garlic paste in small amounts or switch to garlic-infused olive oil for lighter evening meals. Carlos even started using garlic powder sparingly when he wanted a touch of flavor without the punch of raw garlic. He told me, "I still love the taste, but I don't miss the wake-ups. It's amazing how my nights changed just by changing one ingredient." This small but critical shift reminds us how interconnected our bodies are. Food isn't just fuel, it's information. What you eat, how much, and when all send signals to your organs. Garlic, though natural, is powerful. And like all powerful tools, it needs to be used wisely, especially after 60, when your body's rhythms are more sensitive than ever. There's one final seasoning category that might be the most dangerous of all, not because of what you see on the label, but because of what's hidden behind it. I'm talking about pre-packaged, factory-made spice blends. These convenient little packets and cubes, often labeled as seasoning mix, bouillon, flavor enhancer, or meat rub, are staples in many American homes, especially for those who grew up cooking with quick, store-bought ingredients. But behind their convenience lies a combination of additives, preservatives, and artificial chemicals that can quietly wreak havoc on your bladder, your kidneys, and your entire sleep cycle. One of the most common ingredients in these products is monosodium glutamate, or MSG. While some people claim they don't notice any reaction, a growing body of research suggests that MSG overstimulates the nervous system and creates confusion in the body's natural hunger, fullness, and elimination signals. It makes your bladder send mixed messages, sometimes telling you it's full when it isn't, or tricking your kidneys into staying active long after your last meal. Combine that with ultra-processed sodium, sulfites, and synthetic flavors, and you have the perfect storm for nocturia, dehydration, and nighttime discomfort. To make things worse, many of these seasonings are marketed as natural, but a closer look at the label reveals a cocktail of substances that your body recognizes as toxin substances that must be filtered out by your kidneys at night, just when they should be resting. That was the case for Rosa Mitchell, a 71-year-old grandmother from Savannah, Georgia. Rosa had cooked her entire life and prided herself on keeping meals simple and fast. For her, seasoning packets were a time saver. A sprinkle here, a bouillon cube there, it made cooking easier after long days. But over the years, Rosa found herself waking up at least 4 or 5 times a night. She was also constantly thirsty after midnight and often experienced lightheadedness in the mornings. Her doctors ran tests, but nothing seemed obviously wrong. Her blood pressure was stable, her blood work was mostly normal. Yet the sleep disruptions continued. Then one day, her granddaughter, who had been studying nutrition in college, took a look at her pantry. What she found startled Rosa. Nearly every seasoning Rosa used contained MSG, artificial colorants, anti-caking agents, and synthetic preservatives. Even the so-called all-natural chicken seasoning blend had more than 20 different chemical additives. Together, they were sending Rosa's kidneys into hyperdrive during the night, causing a cycle of bathroom trips, thirst, and interrupted sleep. Her granddaughter suggested they try something different. For 1 month, Rosa switched entirely to natural seasonings. They started small, mixing dried oregano, basil, and rosemary into a glass jar. They added paprika, turmeric, and thyme. They used sea salt in moderation during breakfast, and in place of bouillon cubes, they made a simple homemade broth using roasted chicken bones, carrots, and celery. Everything was stored in small containers, easy to access, and took just minutes to use during cooking. Within 2 weeks, Rosa's nighttime awakenings dropped by half. After a month, she was sleeping 5 to 6 hours without interruption. But the changes didn't stop there. Her cravings for water in the middle of the night vanished. Her digestion improved. Her energy levels during the day climbed back up to what they had been a decade earlier. She felt more in control, less dependent on packaged shortcuts, more confident in her kitchen. She told me, "I used to think cooking from scratch was a burden. Now it feels like freedom. I sleep better, I feel better, and I know exactly what's going into my body." What Rosa discovered is something anyone can do. You don't need to be a professional chef or have hours of free time. By taking 10 minutes each week to prepare your own spice mixes, you give your body a rest from synthetic stresses it doesn't need, especially at night. Your kidneys, your heart, and your bladder all benefit from that choice. And the reward isn't just better sleep, it's better mornings, sharper thinking, and more joy in the day ahead. What seems small, like swapping a seasoning cube, can lead to results that are life-changing. Now that you've seen how 4 common ingredients, refined salt, hot peppers, excess garlic, and processed seasonings, can silently sabotage your sleep, it's time to realize something important. The solution is already in your hands. For years, you may have believed that waking up at night was just part of aging. But what if it wasn't? What if those frequent trips to the bathroom, the restless nights, and the groggy mornings weren't signs of age, but signs that your body is simply overwhelmed and overstimulated by what you're eating? Every story you've heard, Mark in Miami, Linda in Atlanta, Carlos in Portland, Rosa in Savannah, started with the same frustration you may be feeling now. They were tired, drained, confused, and all it took was a decision to change how they seasoned their food. These weren't drastic changes. No pills, no surgeries, just simple swap sea salt instead of refined salt, herbs instead of peppers, garlic at lunch instead of dinner, homemade blends instead of MSG-laced cubes, and slowly everything changed. Their sleep returned. Their mornings became brighter. Their energy came back. That kind of transformation is available to you too. You don't have to do it all at once. Focus on one thing each week. Start with salt, then peppers, then garlic, then the packets. Let your body adjust. Let your nights soften. Let rest return to your life. If you've made it this far, it means you care deeply about your well-being. And I want to thank you for that. This is not just about better sleep, it's about better living. If you've felt alone in this struggle, know that you're not. Thousands of people are reclaiming their nights, and you can be one of them. Tell me in the comments, which of these seasonings do you use most? Did any of them surprise you? I read every message and respond personally. Your words might inspire someone else to begin their journey. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe. Each week, we bring real science and real stories to help you live with more strength, clarity, and peace. Tonight, you have a choice. And that choice might be the beginning of your best sleep in years.